I just wanted them to do it around everybody else, you know, not so closed off. So my jealousy wasn't like crazy, and I wasn't worried constantly that tomorrow is the last day of my marriage.
What she has gone through is such a difficult emotional path, and she has been able to do it with grace and keeping her head on and keeping her marriage together.
I have never doubted that my husband loves me more than anything else. And he knows that, you know, obviously I'd give my life to support him. You know, I would never lie for him, but I will support him. I'll back him up when he tells his story, when it's true, and the events are accurate. Otherwise, I call him out on it. It's like, no, that's not when it happened. So.
Can I interrupt you for that? You just said you would never lie for him.
That's right, I won't.
To your core, that's who you are.
Absolutely.
So nothing that has happened in any way, shape, or form in his life and to you has been fabricated?
No. Nothing that he has shared with you or anyone else is fabricated. I cannot tolerate liars. I cannot stand deception. I would, if I thought Stan was lying about any of this, making any of it up, I would have walked away faster than anything. Love or no love. I wouldn't do it.
He's not lying. Stan, no. When you live with somebody and the person is undergoing trauma and the person, he has physical contact. In other words, this isn't just downloading of aliens. This is physical marks and physical problems and physical interaction. The person that's the closest to you knows whether you're lying or not. And she is, actually, she and the family, all the family, know that this is a real phenomenon. Now, whether some of it has been done to him to confuse him and half of it is disinformation or some of it is copycat, we don't know that. But we know some of it is real.
Do I believe everything that, that's happened to him? Absolutely not, because I can't investigate everything that's happened to him. But I'll tell you what, out of all the things that he's claimed has happened to him, even if you believe 40%, that's a lot. That's enough right there. Just that 40% is enough to, to believe that, he is an actual abductee.
This light just explodes onto the ground right next to the house and starts coming up towards where the video camera is bolted to the side of the house. And you see these what look like soap bubbles start flying around, and it almost looked like there's a little bit of steam coming off the grass when the light hits the grass. And then pretty soon the video camera was taken out, and I came back with a bloody nose and peeing blood. And later that morning when I woke up, I went to go check to see why the cameras didn't, why the cameras stopped working. Because we saw on the video, this amazing event took place and the beam of light hit the ground next to the house. But it stopped working, and I wanted to go see what the heck happened. So I went outside, and I noticed this. It's as if where the beam of light hit the camera, it cleaned the whole area of sighting in this perfect arc. And it literally melted the siding. You could see where some kind of heat warped and kind of browned the siding a little bit, especially up toward the camera. And it also killed the grass below. Now, when they analyzed the siding, it cleaned the siding somehow, or pulled the dirt out of the siding all the way through the molecular structure of the siding itself. The very next day, I was going to collect a piece of siding because it was my day off, and Lisa had to go to work early. And I woke up 8 o'clock in the morning because I heard this pounding. It's like, what in the world? I went outside to look, and there were two guys had taken down my surveillance camera and laid it in the grass, and they were replacing the siding of my house. I was pretty upset that they touched my surveillance camera, and what the hell are they doing replacing the siding? I tried to get a hold of the landlord, but the landlord was on vacation, and I asked these guys, what the hell are you doing? Well, your landlord wants us to replace your siding, so I had no way to check right away, so I let him do whatever. And I go, well, I want a piece of the siding, and I started rummaging through, and they got really irate. They said, no, absolutely not. We got to keep every little piece of it because we got to prove to your landlord we replaced the siding. I knew instantly that there was something fishy about that whole thing. Well, about not quite 40 minutes had passed, and all of a sudden I heard a shop vac going. Well, I came running outside, and they were shop vacuuming the yard, and when they weren't looking, I grabbed a piece of the siding. Even before then, I went and got my video camera because I wanted to videotape the whole incident because I didn't trust what was going on. And it's weird because they wouldn't look at me. I got them to tell me what date it is and made small talk, and they didn't even look at me to see that a video camera going. They just refused. They always had their back to me, constantly trying to turn their back. And when I purposely walked around to face them, they'd turn away. And so I grabbed a piece of siding, and after about 45 minutes, they shot back the yard. And I thought they went to lunch and were going to come back. They disappeared. It says Bob Siding from Grand Island, Nebraska on the side of their truck. And all they replaced is where the UFO beamed my surveillance camera. That's it. And when I called the landlord said, I didn't ask for them to side the house. Why are they siding the house? I hope they don't charge me. So, and then the investigators looked up Bob Siding from Grand Island, and there's no such thing. No such thing. This weird British-sounding voice left a message for us saying that it wasn't safe to live in Colorado Springs, and you know, I thought somebody was joking around, but honestly, I wished I would have listened because not long after that, I was riding my bicycle to work because I didn't live very far from where I worked. And this black SUV kind of pulled up alongside of me as I was riding, and I heard them say something. It's like, oh, great. You know, some militaries, drunk military types trying to start trouble. Because there's a lot of military bases in Colorado Springs. Well, I ignored them and kept riding. They were stopped behind a car at a stoplight, so I just went up and over an embankment and drove into the parking lot where I worked, and I was going to go around the building to lock up my bike. Somehow these guys knew exactly where I parked my bike because they found a back way to get into the back parking lot where they cut me off. It was a guy on the passenger side gets out of the car and says, you need to keep your mouth shut. And I look at him, I said, I didn't say anything to you. And I knew these guys were going to start trouble. And you could tell they were definitely some kind of black ops or military just by the way they looked. He started shoving me, and I kind of fell off my bike a little bit. And I heard him just talking about the alien stuff. And I said, I can't shut up about this stuff. That's ridiculous. And so he started swinging, and we got into a tussle. And, you know, I grew up in Southwest Denver, so I kind of know how to fight a little bit. And then the guy behind the passenger seat, there were 4 of them altogether, got out and did all these kung fu karate kind of moves. And I actually laughed at him. I think it kind of pissed him off a little bit. But he came at me, and I had a bike chain wrapped around my seat that I locked my bike up with, and I just started wailing at him. And I honestly thought I killed him because he was on the ground jerking around and shaking really hard like he was having convulsions or something. And I felt this intense kind of weird tickle pain thing on my lower back, and I hit the ground. And as this was going on, people were driving by watching this happen. Somebody called the police. The police were there almost oh, geez, within 5 minutes of these guys picking up their buddy and throwing him in the van, their whatever SUV and taking off. Come to find out, they actually tased me. And that's why I fell to the ground. And one person tried to follow them and lost them. So there was a police report made, and ended up with a broken wrist and a broken nose. And, you know, I wished I would have listened to that call. This probably was the most significant event for me out of all of this that's happened so far. I'm still waiting for something more impressive to happen. It started out, I was painting the eave of my house, and I had grabbed for, I think it was for a brush to kind of brush the old paint off the eave, and I kind of fell off balance a little bit and literally fell 12 feet onto the ground, and I tried to catch myself. Trouble was, there was a wheelbarrow full of bricks just right beneath me, and I twisted my leg just right and tore the anterior cruciate ligament in my hamstring of my right leg. Went to the doctor. They told me I was going to need surgery that next Wednesday. I think it happened on a Friday, so I was going to need surgery that next Wednesday. I had to wait through the weekend and everything. Tuesday night, something happened though. Usually when I get taken, what will happen is, for whatever reason, whatever power or whatever technology they use seems to blow the circuit switches, blow the breakers in the house. So Lisa woke up in the middle of the night because I was gone and all the breakers were blown. She could hear the breakers go or something. I don't remember exactly what woke her up. But when she tried to find me, I was completely missing. I was gone. I was nowhere to be found anywhere. She looked everywhere for me. She eventually got all the breakers flipped back on, all the lights back on, and she came in the house, and I was standing kind of dazed in the middle of the living room. Now, to me, I woke up and I was looking for Lisa. In reality, I was already missing, and Lisa was looking for me. We didn't really give it any more thought. We didn't give it a second thought. And we decided, we'll just go back to bed. It could have been a fluke. Who knows? Well, the next morning, Lisa, I couldn't work because of my knee, so I was off work. And Lisa had to get up fairly early to get ready for work. So 6 o'clock in the morning, she got up. And she noticed this circle in my yard. And it kind of looked like the same circle that we had in our yard from a prior abduction. Now, what's interesting is Lisa woke me up to come look at this circle. And she was looking at me weird, and I walk up to the window, and I'm looking, I said, that's just crazy. How'd that get there? And Lisa goes, do you notice anything different? I go, yeah, there's a damn circle in our yard. She goes, no, do you notice anything different? I'm looking at her like, what are you talking about? So she goes, come here. So I walk over to her, and it's like, hey, where'd my knee brace go? Where'd my cast go? And how come my knee doesn't hurt anymore? And how come it's swollen anymore? And why in the hell do I have 5 holes in the back of my leg? There was hardly any bruising left. My leg felt a little stiff, but after a while it stretched out and no pain whatsoever. Well, they found my knee brace a few hours later when the researchers came over on the side of the house, literally melted into some bricks, including the aluminum rods were all melted. And bits and pieces of it were found in the field behind our house, and some of it on the swing set that was in our yard, as if this thing was thrown out of some high place and it just landed on the side of our yard. Well, the funny thing is, I had to call the doctor to explain why I didn't need surgery. And I remember calling, and I left a message for her, and she called me back because she was off work. She called me back, and she said, Stan, I understand you're really frightened about getting surgery, but if you don't get this surgery, you're going to be a cripple the rest of your life. You'll never be able to use that leg again. I said, look, I can't explain it, and I wasn't about to explain that I was taken by aliens and they fixed my leg. There's no way I'd say that to her. She'd think I was nuts. I said, I'm just going to have to prove to you I don't need surgery anymore. She goes, all right, I'll tell you what. I'm not at the office right now, but my associate's in the emergency room. I'll call him, set it up. You go see him in the emergency room, and he'll tell you the same damn thing I told you. It's like, okay, fair enough. Well, I went to the emergency room, and my wife brought a tape recorder, and we recorded the whole conversation. And this guy had no idea how it was possible that I went from having a torn ACL to not having a torn ACL. And what kind of miraculous thing could have done this? At first, he said those holes in the back of my leg could be bug bites, but then there's no rivets in my... He didn't have any explanation. And then he suggested that we call the Ghostbusters to come figure out what was going on. And I never told him anything about the ET stuff. He just assumed. This video was pretty much the